All right, good morning. Let's see where we're at here. Market's up again. Crazy. NASDAQ futures up 400 on what? I'm not sure. Other than just looking at the technicals, things went down to support and they bounced. You have to think that forget what's going on in the news. Anyway, so S&P's up here. Decent gap up into resistance, which makes me think I need a reversal to short it. As at least to give it a shot to see what it's going to do to go lower. Coming up, I'm just looking at the weekly chart here. The high, it's gapping up with the high of the red bar. And so we're into a trading range, which just means choppy price action. Oh, shoot. Sorry with the screen there. Should come up. Give a sec there. It's coming. It's coming. All right. Here. All right. There you go. So Spider's gapping up, right? 333. Now it's 331 and 332, but gapping up near the high of the red bar. And so as we look at these patterns, we always look at a red bar, right? What we call factory work. And it's like if it's really weak, it's going to stay in the lower half. It's up at the top. That's bullish, but it's in a trading range. So, you get near resistance. Automatically, the question is, can it get through it? Does it form reversals? We short it there, or can it get up to the top of the range? We all know this presidential election thing is not done yet. And unfortunately, when I'm listening to the news this morning, they're talking about now there'll be an army of lawyers involved, and who knows how long that's going to go on. So, what I've coined Mr. Schizophrenic looks like this is going to continue maybe into the end of the year. And hey, we'll see how it unfolds. Up right here at resistance, these overlapping bars, and there's an unfilled gap. It's gapping up, and we'll see about gap fills and so on, what we do every day. So SPX, again, should put the call side as a good trade. Right? We have to see what happens at the open. Just looking at, so this next level up here, which is 1130 on the 23rd. SPX. So this would be, let's just call it above 3460, would be the safe zone, right? Since it's gapping up, it would and then if it was going to continue, it'd have to get through here. So if there's premium above 3460, that should be fine. Now it's moved from the bottom of the range, up toward wherever it is here. I guess right here, 3,400 or so. I'm just kind of eyeballing that based on SPY. And then there's congestion there. Plenty of premium, even to 3,490, McGraw says. So if it opens higher, we see if it spikes higher. And before 10 o'clock, I think ideally we get some kind of reversal and, that trade above 3,490. We're going to get as far away as we could possibly get and making some money. All right, cool. And then if we get the sell-off, we get some kind of nasty sell-off, and maybe later in the day, the put side would make sense. I would assume at the open, there won't be much premium on the put side because of the gap up. So let it sell off and let's see what happens. All right, futures. You can see, they're right up here. Theoretically, they could, get up to the top of it where, traders would see that as, hey, just put on the trade and see what it happens. You can give it a stop up above here, far enough away. But, if this was to continue to push up, bottom of the range, pushing up to the top of this. It's not a pivot, because it doesn't have three lower highs to the left. But we always have to use some common sense to what we do and say, hey, well, even though it's got two, it's got this congestion right there. This whole area is going to be a significant resistance place. So if the strength should continue up in there, then, this pattern that's going on here might just be, a high point and shortable, but it's too early to tell. The 5-minute is just starting to go sideways there. It's in an uptrend. So you don't want to just get in front of it and assume. We need a more potent reversal. So should it continue to move up, as I drawn that toward up to the top of the 3460 area, which would be just fine with me, so I'll tell you what I'm thinking here, of course, why it would be fine. Because this was nice momentum, right? As this moved up. And then you got the wide range bar and you got this choppy mess that's going on. It pivoted and buyers stepped up again. So should it move up here and then start to turn, we can see that this nice momentum, the distance between the highs here, is slowing down. And it's slowing momentum in the proper area. Combining those concepts increase the probability of getting a turning point. Now, you've got this congestion down there. So the downside, you would think, right? We're always thinking based on the chart that the downside is going to be not necessarily limited, but choppy on the move down because you've got to get through this support area. But based on this, again, assuming this happens, well, 3,400 could be a stopping point. And this is where we start to see how much sellers could actually take control. It's like we see buyers took control here. And just to share with you guys, the news that, this is the conflict that I think, as we want to be so much of a technical trader versus what's going on in the real world and saying, hey, you know what, ignore that as if nothing was happening. It's very hard to do, just to ignore that and say, well, it's at support, there's a bottoming tail bar, let me buy it. And if you did, marvelous trade. But this whole election thing is kind of like, a Fed meeting coming out and you see a bottoming tail like this on a, intraday chart at 2:00 and you say, oh, okay, I'm going to buy it. And the Fed comes out and what can happen. So I don't make myself crazy anymore with this kind of stuff. And just to say, I will just say that's not my money. So anyways, so this is the idea for today of, move from here to here. This is the destination short term. Let's see if we can get some kind of reversal. The call spread should be a good trade for the day. And, we still got the uncertainty about who's going to be the next president. So I don't think buyers going to be so enthusiastic at a level that risk is rising. Yeah. All right, let's clean up this. I don't know if NQs were up over 400 before. So the underperformer was underperforming at some point here, outperforming intraday here. And there isn't a lot of resistance, but granted, there is some base there. It's got a similar pattern as the S&Ps. And you can see all the congestion that's right over there. So as we look at it, risk is rising for longs here, short term this morning. And we'll keep an eye on this to see if it begins coming in. If it does, maybe the S&Ps just don't get up to that higher level. 11,800, you got a topping tail there. Probably at the open here, it's best to just, let things chop around, see how it works out at the beginning. But today is Wednesday, but this bar can look exactly like this on Friday. It could look like a topping tail. If it looks like a topping tail, well, there's just the craziness of the news and the M top. Is in place. It hasn't traded under the low here, right? The pivot low, where you get the ultimate confirmation. That hasn't happened. But if we get a topping tail at the end of the week, I'm going to be believing about 99% that it's going down if it loses this gain here. Oh, so let's see what happens today before we get there. The Dow overlapping opens and closes there. That's where the resistance could be. And rather than a double top, we've got like a triple top going on over here. You can see that little congestion there. And so that's one of the MTS lessons, is that when you look to the left of a momentum move like this, where it, look, momentum, there's no resistance there. You look at where the opens and closes overlap each other, and you will find some consolidation on a smaller time frame, and there it is. Right. So rather than the double top that we see on S&P and Qs, we've got a 3 test here, and it hasn't failed yet. But you can see it's starting to come in. As we got the, and it's not. This isn't as close to the top of the wide range bar, more or less in the middle. But by the way, with the wide range bar concept of staying in the lower half, the candle body has to stay in the lower half. So again, today's Wednesday. If this is a topping tail on Friday, it's doing what it's supposed to do. So as part of our method of analyzing things objectively, what's happening intra-bar is the unknown, right? And of course, the uncertainty of what we do and why we have to wait for the end of the bar. But if this closes like that, obviously more bullish than being a topping tail. But if it's topping tail here, topping tail Qs, topping tail S&Ps, next week we're looking for shorts. Yeah, we have an MT live today. I posted the link. I thought maybe an M2 on YouTube, when you came in, you saw what was posted prior to you getting in, but there's the link, and it's on YouTube as well at 12 o'clock today. All right. Russell, what a crazy, pattern that this has been, where, it was bullish and it fell with the market right to the top of the range, and this wild whippy price action already. Maybe it's a topping tail. Obviously the uncertainty that we've been dealing with in this market is not over yet. So, trade a little smaller. Ranges are relatively big. Give things extra room. Quality patterns as always. And something that looks like this, just stay away. Go pick something else. Bonds are up here this morning big. Well, why? Right? Things that they've been going in the opposite direction for the most part recently. That began to change a bit last week or at the beginning of this week. Why? It's down at support. Right? What idiot wants to short this after it moved from the top of the range to the bottom of the range? And so now it broke lower this morning, and now we've got this giant bar. So traders there getting beat up, and get the ones that at least said, hey, there's support here to the left. I'm not even going to play the short side, especially right here. But people do that, too small a time frame, and they get sucked into things at the worst possible moment. So someone said, that realizes, what I just explained here about the weekly, they're not going to get sucked in on the 5-minute chart. Why should they even be looking at the 5-minute chart if they're swing trading? And so they wouldn't be looking at this and saying, hey, the 5 minutes rolling over, let's short it and then, get clobbered at the worst possible time. Anyway, oil reversing back up into where sellers are going to want to show up there. So maybe it's tomorrow. Tomorrow, I guess, I don't know whether it's going to be late today or tomorrow, but I guess we're going to know who the potential president is. And as I said earlier, they're talking about an army of lawyers just having a feast on this. Gold, messy, starting to shape up again. Where, a couple of weeks I've been talking about the possible breakdown failure and didn't get up above the red bar and came down, starting to reverse here. So still plenty of uncertainty for everybody. Silver coming back up, but I'm not interested in that yet. It's just too messy. So we'll see if that plays out. So from swing trading perspective, I mean, I'm sure we're going to probably find some individual stocks that are on their own page. There always is. The risk of getting whipsawed is out there. So trading a little smaller and taking, what trades you believe are on their own page, go for it. So all yours, Dan.
Good morning, everyone. I'll start off by saying, wow, these gaps. Remember I was asking yesterday when we saw the strength, and I said, hey, what is the story that they're telling people to give to why you want to buy ahead of an uncertain election? And I told Debbie and others that it was my belief is that they're being told a story of, it doesn't matter. We're going to go, the market wants to go up anyway. We're not going to have the blue wave. And I think there's some unwinding of that going on, obviously. But wow, I mean, the NAS was up 200 and now it was up 400. Just the market wanted to go up. So those who held overnight are getting paid for it. Good job, but the futures were all over the place last night, as expected. We are flat in the weekly options trader. Dunking was on my list for today. Beyond was on our list yesterday. So there's a lot of things out there. There still was, Greg explained, we still have more risk, obviously, with the lawsuits, with social unrest. LSCC was on our list, broke out yesterday. Holex on my list, FFIV, beautiful close right there, FFIV, Chewy, put spread. So there's a ton of candidates still, even though it's going to be harder with, the big old gap to resistance, because then I'm not trading with the mothership, so to speak, because it's so extended. So we only have 3 open positions in the advisory letter. We're short, and they're all just short puts, way out of the monies, because that was our rationale. The rationale was, hey, they're expensive. The pattern was there. They're far enough away. So we have TRO, we have PINS, and we have Ruger. They all look great. All 3 put spreads look great. Let's see, Norbert is asking JD for a day trade, breakdown failure. 86, yeah, I like it. It's a, breakdown failure. It's a gap breakout. It's bullish pre-market. So the only thing we have to do now on Norbert is wait for an intraday setup timed with the futures. But yeah, that's a beautiful candidate. So yes, I like it. I like that FISV also. Put that in a window. Glad. Twitter I saw gapping up today. That was on our late day breakout. It's still in the gap now. I don't know why. So I would say that's neutral. We can find better. Let's just start looking at things here. FXI, which is China ETF. Look at this monthly breakout. That's a gap reverse head and shoulder breakout on China. See that? Gap into 46. Target could be 50. That's another one that looks good. URI, I just saw a number of things gapping down, I think, with this unwinding of the expected stimulus. The tan is the solar. So you got URI here, a bearish gap after a big 100% run to resistance. This would be a call spread candidate maybe for Friday. VMC, that's a big, construction and materials. So that was another infrastructure play. Same with CAT, infrastructure play. That's a call spread candidate for Friday. Hey, do you remember we had a question on well, not a question, we had a discussion on TAN, which is a solar ETF. We had a call spread that we decided to close early at break even just to avoid election risk. But somebody in the room made a comment, oh, Dan, we should get out of this because this thing's going to rip on a Biden win. And I said, well, how the heck do we know that? That's the discussion we had. I don't know what it's going to do. And I threw out there the idea of, how do you know we won't gap down? How do you know we won't gap down? Because it's already priced in. And I mean, and I think part of the gap down is because the Senate, it looks like we're going to hold the Republicans will hold the majority, so Democrats aren't going to be able to, ramrod in whatever they want to do. And I think that's another fundamental reason for the market gap up today. But I got pins on my, not pins, I got tan on my list to sell another call spread. I would do this ahead of the final election results because it's a pattern. So that's on my list for a call spread. Let's continue. Tesla for Vichy. I mean, all the fangs, we're just going to have to wait. They're all up. They're all up huge. Remember Facebook? We did a day trade yesterday. Greg, look at this wonderful. We did a day trade here yesterday morning, 15-minute high. Look at that. Bottoming tail red bar. Spiders and Qs took out their 15-minute high, price void. That was beautiful. But now it's vertical. Facebook 280, that's a monster gap. I wouldn't mind selling out of the money put spreads on it, but good luck, getting premium, at least for Friday. There's probably still premium going out for next week, but that's, again, up to you on, the risk before the elections. Someone's asking about.
Just as a side note, Dan, thinking, why is that going up like that? Maybe the assumption is, Biden has the edge here, and all of the Facebook and Google and so on, and what they, Twitter, all of them. If Trump isn't in there, maybe the pressure comes off of them.
Well, no, that's exactly what I think. What I meant was kind of unwinding of the blue wave trade, and there's many aspects to that, sector by sector. But in terms of the technology one and the fangs, that's exactly right. It's maybe again it's not going to be a slam dunk, and they wanted to increase regulations, they wanted to break them up, etc. So now the gap up in strength, in my opinion, is reflecting that the chance of them getting picked on by Congress is reduced. Sure. Yeah, detective, let's do that later, obviously, but also there's a video on how to do that, the last document in the resources and members area, but we can do it later. Let me continue here and focus on any gappers. This little guy, DRAD, no idea what he does, but big gap. I don't know if you day traders, if you get a setup, Kura gapping down, 29 bucks. I don't know if that's a bio. D-Dog put spread candidate. Then come down to support, reverse, gapping up. Oh, one of you just asked me about F-SLY as a put spread. It's in a downtrend. I mean, it's oversold. It might work, but I'd much rather something like D-Dog that is reversing on support. Same with Beyond. Look, it's down 20 days on support. So Beyond and D-Dog, I was so Chewy, I said yesterday, FFIV, LSCC, pins were already in. It's just with the big old gap, it's because we got to use a little bit more finesse to get in. D-Dog, Beyond. Dunking, you know, this one too. It's a nasty retracement, but it's starting to make the turn. SMCI gapping to 26.50. Big gap to resistance. No interest. Texas TX. I can't tell where you're gapping. These are all earnings. Mercy, it looks like it's gapping down to 69, a bearish gap. CLW, 39.51. There's no pattern. Gapping up a little bit. We can find better. Zyme, we'll come back to you. You're a mess. Supin, 21.38. Big gap at the resistance. Vichy, it's a total judgment call on how much room you want to give it. And how much room you want to give it is kind of a function of how bad is the gap against you and what are the broader markets doing. And if you're in something long and then a 5-minute low, you tell yourself, I'd rather short this thing. Then get out. No reason to give it a 30-minute. So that's kind of my answer. Yeah, this was on the California ballot. They voted. It was actually a close call, but they voted to leave Lyft and Uber alone with their independent contractor status. And I personally think that's a victory for the citizens there. I mean, it's just, to me, it was just another example of stupid government over regulation. That's my take. Debbie, if Debbie's in the house, this, folks, is a picture of a bull flag. Here's your flagpole going up, 30-degree channel retracement, bullish consolidation and an uptrend. And then you just, you can't arbitrarily say, oh, well, it breaks the trend line or whatever. We got to use bar by bar analysis to figure out when to get on board. But that was earnings also. Here's another kind of bullish pullback here. That one's worth watching. I see one print up here at 104. We'll come back to you. Acor here,